Next is the scalene muscles. So the SCM is what turns the head and gives the lateral flexion. Where the scalenes are different, they actually assist us in breath. So it's a tripod of muscles, one coming down into the anterior portion of the body, and the medial comes into a little bit off the middle of the clavicle, and then you have the posterior scalene. Those are all done or released by working the insertion areas or close to the insertion. So here, that's the medial scalene, the anterior is right here, and then the posterior is right here in the crook of the neck. I'm going to run my thumb right in line here. You can also use fingertips. Out, all the way out into what I've said before, the dusty corner, which is the acromion clavicular joint right here. So, laying my thumb here, I'm going to rest my thumb right into the soft area along the base of the neck and follow the contours of the clavicle. But as I reach right here, the anterior scalene, it's tight, so I'm just going to stay on that. I've met restriction, and I'm just going to hold that position, and I'm pressing in and out. So in and out, holding some pressure to that scalene that passes right under that clavicle. And get that to release. And then moving on along the clavicle, I'm also working the tissue along the clavicle, part of the platysmus and other muscles, but then coming into the medial scalene, which is right here. I'm going to roll my thumb down into the clavicle and just sort of holding that position right against there. And there you go. Now this can be very, very thumb isolated movements, so you can get a lot of fatigue in the thenar eminence. So the next time you come through, you can also help your thumbs and use both and just sort of press and glide along the clavicle, releasing all the tissue along there, especially the anterior medial scalene, all the way out. Right down here at about the C7, T1, you've got the upper trap here, but right with that edge of the trap, you can also palpate the posterior scalene, which is a lot thicker than the other two scalenes. And I basically am getting my index finger right behind it, right just lateral to the transverse process of the C7, and then I'm going in this direction. So I'm going out. I'm sort of getting a hold of that muscle. I'm pressing in it, but giving a good stretch to it, going upward. I'm also following behind with my middle finger to give it a little bit of extra support as it glides up, to give it a stretch. I like to strip the muscles as well, going through the fibers of the scalene and stripping them up or even downward. And right behind the SCM there. So another way to access the posterior scalene is to take your thumb and finger and sort of get a hold of the upper trap and press down through that. Go right into the crook of the neck, right in here, and then press. So I'm going in and then down, and then pressing towards the table and giving that a good stretch. Gently. You are right at the cervical spine. Okay, the other way is to get your fingertips right behind at the upper trap and at the posterior scalene, and sort of get your fingertips around that muscle and pull towards yourself, so pulling upward. And I'm just going to hold this position because I'm also going across the splenius muscles. I'm just following through with that release, getting hold of all of the muscles as they let go gently. And then coming in and reassimilating the fascial tissue